Morning, Devas. This is Eva. We are not going to go over 12 minutes today, I promise, and hopefully less than that. Just to revisit what we were going to talk about last week, I said we were going to talk about Learned Optimism, which includes a little history lesson. Sorry, but it's always good to know the foundation. And then we were going to talk about the 3-5-4, which is turning green in 4 months. And this has been posted on Fabulashes, Lash NATO. I posted it on mine, and it's where just go ahead and take pen to paper and draw yourself, and then add 3 people underneath you, right? And then add 3 people underneath them. And so if you sold 500 PRS and you had 3 people join your team, and they each sold 500 PRS, and then you trained them and helped them to get 3 members of their team, and they each sold 500 PRS, and those, do you see what I'm saying? It goes 3-5-3-5 all the way down. That would get you to green in 3 months. So if that is your goal, that is one great way to do it. The one thing I would challenge you on is the personal 500. Although if you look at the grid, and most of the levels are at 250 or 500, and green and orange are definitely at 500. Why limit yourself to $500? I mean, you're going to get commission on that. So, I would buck it up a little bit. And so work towards that. And that's one quick and easy proven way in this company to get to green in 4 months. Well, we all know I had my 3-month anniversary last week, so I'm super, super excited. Will I be green in 4? At the end of this month, I want to say that I will be. Now, did you say that I want to be there? I hope I'm there. I hope everything comes together. And that is our segue to Learned Optimism. We do tend to use the words hope and wish a lot. And the one thing I want to talk to you all about today is that those are more passive verbs. When my students present in front of VCs asking for $5 million, I don't let them use passive verbs. So they can't say, well, we think, we feel, we wish, we hope. No, these are data driven, right? And so the data shows, or I hope. No, we have put a plan in action so that our goals will be met. And that's really one of the key things. I do want to talk about hope, because although it tends to be a passive verb, there is a way to make it an action verb. And I would love to give you those hints today. Dr. Bartley sat in on my master's comps, and so I know that she knows a lot about hope theory. But hope theory takes the word hope, which tends to be a passive verb, and makes it an action verb. How is that? Because you break it down into 3 parts. I love 3s. You know what? I always talk about things in 3s. And if you have a belief in faith, 3s, the Trinity, can make great things happen. So in a trifecta at the racetrack, hello, money, make it rain. So let's talk about hope. I even have my hope mug. And how can it be an action verb? Well, you've got goals, agencies, and pathways, okay? So we all know about goals because we talked about that ad nauseum last week. So you make your goal. All right, your agency and pathway. What is that? Pathway is the building blocks or the tactics that you define that will get you to your goal. Now, what is agency? What's this little free bird out here, right? We've got our goal. We've got our pathway. We're going blah, 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 blah. Whoops. What happened? We hit a roadblock. Nothing is worse than setting a goal working your tactics, and then what happens? Something blocks you. Hello, agency. Agency is your personal ability to come up with an alternative to get around that blockage. So if you have a goal and you have a path, this is why we talk about plan A, plan B, plan C, right? And something blocks your path, your agency is the will inside you that will make you not take no for an answer. It will make you find a solution for that. And so, where there's a will, there's a way. Agency and pathways on our way to our goal. So when you say hope, in the future, I want you to think it less as a wishful thought, but as something that you can clearly streamline and go after and set up tactics and implement a plan to get to that goal. So there we go. Hope can be not just something that you want to happen, but something that you can make happen. And again, I'll be your partner. I will help you get there. So let's talk about learned optimism. So once upon a time, psychology was really more a study of what could go wrong and how it affects people and situations. And so there was a lot of research after World War II on psychology, like psychology of the veterans. And Frankie just knocked something over, so I apologize. But all of that to study, if these things go wrong, how is it going to affect their mental state? What type of mechanisms can we use to make them more positive? All right, fast forward. 1998, Martin Seligman takes over the presidency of the American Psychiatric, I'm thinking crazy now, American Psychological Association. He wants to start looking at psychology from a perspective of positivity. And that's when positive psychology was based. And one of the key things is if these negative things happen to people, how does it affect them, right? So we've got research on that. So he's like, well, what happens if there are positive influencers? How will that affect behavior? How will that affect mindset? And so positive psychology was born. And you all know I do love a positive post. And this is sort of one of those tenets that I try to live by every day. Where did it come from? A gardening incident with his daughter, 5 years old at the time, 5. He was gardening, he was sweating, he was trudging, he was hating the work. She was pulling up the weed, flicking them about, dancing around like she was a flower child. And he's like, what are you doing? Get to work. And she told him, I'm getting the work done. And so through the conversation, sorry, this throat's killing me. Through the conversation, she told him, she self-labeled herself. Do you remember from 2 to 4 when I was a whiner? I whined about everything. Now here she is, 5 years old. Do you remember when I was a whiner? And he was like, yes. She said, well, one day I thought about it and it's like, I don't have to whine. I can be a happy person. I can be optimistic. And I decided to do so. Do you not notice I don't whine anymore? And he was struck. You can learn optimism. And there are going to be times when our sales are down. Hello, August. And people aren't ordering as fast as we want them to. This is going to happen. Learned optimism is being able to take a situation that is what one would perceive as negative, being able to reframe it into something that is positive. So how can you take a no sales month or a slow sales month and make that a positive? Well, I don't know if you all saw Janet's post on UEV yesterday. She used that time to organize her business. right? It's not all about just being on Facebook. It's not all about contacting customers. We have to do that. But there's a lot of stuff that we have to do in order to make us what we are and who we represent. And so you take that time to build relationships, last week. You take that time to build relationships. You take that time to organize yourself. I have a desk over there that must be built so that I can, get off by the cookbooks and I can actually sit at my desk and make these videos. There are things that we can do and use our time positively. I know Sandy is making her client files. And so that is a time that you might not think, well, she's not selling. No, she's not selling. She is preparing and laying that foundation for her business. And so if we go back to Hope Theory, her goal is to sell, right? Her pathway in her agency. Well, maybe the pathway is blocked right now. So her agency is saying, I am going to make my books. I'm going to set up card files on my customers. I'm going to know what they want. I'm going to anticipate their needs. Her agency is saying, just because I might be blocked right now doesn't mean I'm going to be blocked forever, and I'm going to make sure the foundation is there to do it. So these are all things that we can use. We are now at 11:35. So I'm going to let you go. Just thinking, be positive. Yeah, sometimes it's bad. But if we bitch and moan, all that does is beget more bitching and moaning. So if something's bad, think about it. What can you do to reframe it? How can you turn it into a positive? You've got that totally under your control. If you need help, come to me. Positivity breeds positivity. When you are around people that are positive, who can say, oh man, I just dropped my plate. Oh, well, some little animal, say you're at a bark. Some animal's going to have food. Let's go get you another plate, right? And so I will help you go get that other plate anytime you need. And I guess we need to shut it down. So in my tiara, we'll talk about the tiara next week. Why do I always wear a tiara? Anyway, remember, no dream is too big and everything is possible. Bye. Peace, lashes, and unicorns.